Hello guys, I wanted to make an important video. This one is something that I take very seriously, and I know so many of you do. And I know I kind of joke about certain things, but I would never joke about this topic in particular. When we talk about depression in general, not just in the magic community, it's relevant here, but outside, and you see on the news, you see people who have committed suicide. It's just such a devastating thing, and so many people go through it. It's not easy to gather statistics on it because so many people just go through depression and they don't really talk about it. So if you were to look up actual percentages of people who have depression, at least in the US, other places, it's going to be kind of the same deal. They're going to give you a percentage, maybe 30% of Americans. It's definitely higher. I would go out and guess that it's closer to 90% of Americans that go through depression. And there's a lot of things that contribute to depression, but it's hard for me to look around the world, look at everybody, and then see people arguing, people fighting all the time, and not see obvious depression in so many of us. Not saying that everybody's depressed, but most people are. If we can be real about it, people end up dealing with their depression in different ways, so sometimes it doesn't show, sometimes it does. But really why I wanted to make this video is because it seems like content creator to content creator that I watch, they've all had some sort of experience with depression, even ones that I'm not the most friendly with, which I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't want people to go through suicidal thoughts. I don't want people to even think about it. Even people I argue with, I would rather just argue with you than have you go through that. But I don't want to make a video that's all about wallowing in self-pity, because even though I've been through depression before, I haven't really been through the suicidal part, the thoughts, since I was in high school. So I learned to kind of get past it. I don't want to say I'm completely out of the woods, but as far as the suicidal thoughts part goes, that's not what my depression is anymore. I think I'm always going to have it, but it's become something completely different now. Because like I said before, people go through depression in different ways. Mine is more or less just motivation, I guess. It's hard for me to get up in the morning sometimes, but I usually end up doing it. And when every day kind of feels like a drag, I remember when that used to make me feel suicidal, but now I just don't really care. It's sort of like I've become a nihilist, and that is depression for a lot of people. It's not suicidal at all. It's just you're low energy. You're not as happy as some people, but you're not as down in the dumps that you're going to contemplate something you can't come back from. So really what I want people to get out of this video, if you're mature enough to hear me out, the best way to get past it, the best way to get past depression is to change your lifestyle. That's the most important thing that you can do, because everybody who's clinically depressed, I mean serious depression, usually their lifestyle isn't good. And if you could seriously tell me that if you're clinically depressed, that there's nothing in your life you wouldn't change, then you're lying to me, because everybody has lifestyle issues that they don't want to address. They don't want to get past it. But sometimes you just have to rip off that band-aid and just get over it. The sooner you do, the better off you will be, and it is a struggle. It's a difficult thing to do. That's why so many people don't get out of it. But if we're going to be addressing our community specifically, it is, for the most part, a male community, which statistically, men are more likely to actually kill themselves, even though women are more likely to attempt suicide. And this is because men are a little bit more physical with how they express themselves, so they're more likely to go through violent means of actually doing it, whereas women are more likely to maybe try an overdose, which isn't as likely to kill you as a gunshot to the temple, but I don't want to get too descriptive with this. It's a serious problem, especially in young men. A lot of health issues, processed foods, things that are just not good for your cognitive function. And yes, this does affect depression. When your health is shit, your life is going to be shit. So physical health having any impact on mental health, it's definitely going to be there. And even if it's something as simple as you just not exercising at all you need to do is just start exercising, even if it's something little. Or even if you're an alcoholic, make these lifestyle changes. It's very difficult to do it, but once you do, you turn your life around. So even though I'm very sympathetic towards people who go through depression, I don't want to just compare stories and say, oh, look at us, we're very similar. I would rather people get information that is necessary to move on, because the more you talk about depression, the more you become complacent, the more you become someone who just wallows in their self-pity instead of someone who's looking to actually solve these problems, which might seem a little cruel. Some people don't handle depression in that way, but it is important to get past it. I think that's something that should be addressed more so than just, look at me, I'm depressed, everybody else who's depressed. We can all have those good vibes for a day, but then after that, you go back to the same lifestyle. So I'd rather not make that kind of video. I'd rather make a video where we address lifestyle issues, and I could make another video about this if you guys like. And it isn't just health too. If you are someone who's really close to the picture of health, you can still go through depression, but usually that is extremely uncommon. And if those people do go through depression, it's not clinical depression. It's just short term. It's like maybe a month. Social issues, maybe. I'm not saying that's insignificant, but who's more likely to go through suicidal thoughts? Someone who has been dealing with depression for years, or someone who's been dealing with it for maybe a few weeks or a month. So anyway, as someone who's been depressed for a very long time, I can tell you I am nowhere near where I used to be as far as suicidal thoughts, anything like that. While I do feel depressed often, it's in no way like that. It's more of a motivational thing. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. I don't wish any harm on anybody. I hope you guys fight whatever you're going through with all that you have and just rip that band-aid off. But you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.